so much for coming tonight. We really appreciate it. I'm Dudley. I've been working at Keller Williams Realty. Well, I've been in real estate for 20 years. I've been at Keller Williams, 11 or 12. And this has been one of my favorite houses that I have sold. So we decided to do this event and showcase everything that goes into selling a home in today's market. 2025 in Newton, Massachusetts. So this is my good friend Deb Ellis from Deb Ellis Designs.
Hi, I'm Deb Ellis. I've had a staging design business for about 18 years now. This also is one of the best houses and one of the most interesting houses we've staged. There's a lot of very unique characteristics in this house, which also made it very challenging in some ways to stage because we had to update some parts of the home that had been this way for probably a couple hundred years. So it was quite fun to do. So we talked one time.
So this home was, well, the placard on the home says 1815. We're in Auburndale, a section of Newton. The historic documents have the story of the home only as recently as 1855. So we don't know what happened between 1815 and 1855. But we do know that the home was moved. It was probably the only home on the street at the time. It was physically moved so that they could sell off a portion of the land. And so there have been several owners, but this owner has been here about 30 years, raised his family, and it was just time to sell. The kids are long gone and time to sell. So what you're seeing now is nothing 180 degrees from what it looked like when we first saw it. So we're going to show you some before and afters, but the first thing that we want to talk about is how the process works for selling a home in today's market. So to sell a home of this size, this is a 4-bed, 2.5 bath home that had been lived in for 30 years. It took a lot of steps. So the first step was having an estate sale. We knew that if we wanted all the stuff removed, we could pay to get it removed, but we thought, let's have an estate sale and sell some of it, and the owners will have some income toward the cost of removing the rest of it. So the first thing we did was have an estate sale on a Saturday and Sunday in March, and they sold quite a lot of things, quite a lot, but not enough. There was still a lot of stuff, 30 years worth of a whole family living here. So then we hired the junk removal company, and they got rid of everything else. So we had a clean slate. Then we had the repairs. So there were certainly some repairs that needed to be updated. There was track lighting in this room that we removed. Mm-hmm. This room had wallpaper that we removed.
That had probably been on there for 50, 60 years. So.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Just lots of...
We updated the light bulbs.
And the stair runner was a very old, torn up oriental rug, so we put a more modern carpet to cover it. So we go through the house room by room, and we discuss what it needs, and we put together a plan and a budget and review it with the owner and say, and they said some things, yes, I agree with you, and some things, no, I don't agree with you. So one of those things was this room. When we took off the wallpaper, we were thinking we would paint it a different color. Yellow is not the most in color in today's world, but since this room was already yellow and the kitchen was already yellow, the owner said it just makes sense to keep it yellow. And we said, fine, no problem. We're not going to tell you what you have to do. We give our recommendations, but if you don't want to do it, that's fine. So the next step after we do the repairs and the refresh, we do a deep clean. And that took about 2 days. After the deep clean, I called Deb and I said, it's all yours. And she brings in her expert crew of stagers and they make it look like a home. And you can talk about what that entailed.
So first of all, what we did was we came through before all of the items were out of the house. So we make the estimate as to what needs to be done in the house in terms of the repairs, but also the updates, and then also the layouts, what each room is going to be used for, because what the current owner had for usage is not necessarily what a new owner would want in a new space. So it's just giving each room its own identity. So creating a breakfast area that didn't exist before, creating a much more usable living room where people would spend more time in as opposed to maybe just the special events. Making this more of an open area where people would maybe eat and then come and sit and then eat again. Just creating something that's a little more of a free flow and an open feeling to the home. And then
this room actually was a music room. They had an old piano over there and some other instruments and a Peloton. It was a music room and an exercise room. It just didn't know what it wanted to be. So Deb expertly,
more like a great room now.
Felt opening it up and making it a big great room was the logical way to use the space.
Yes. And the same with upstairs. We wanted this to show as a 4-bedroom home. So we created an extra bedroom that was a den upstairs because there's plenty of living space down here. So we created something that was more usable for a large family, really. And at least to understand in the minds of the people who might be looking, maybe a 4-bedroom home makes more sense than a 3-bedroom home, right?
Because even if a bedroom is designed to look like a den, some people just think it's a den. They cannot visualize that it's actually big enough for a bed. It's just how people's brains work. Some people need it all spelled out. So if you are selling a 4-bedroom home and you can put 4 beds in it, it is advised. Then we hire a great photographer, we take expert professional photos, we do a floor plan, we do video, and we get it ready for the market. Most people, I think it's like 96% of people first see homes online. So it's very important that the photos are good and that's their first taste of the home. They're going to decide whether or not to come to the open house based on the photos. So it's very important to have a professional photographer. We had 2 open houses and we found our buyer. And it was a great buyer, it was a great offer, and they love the house. They appreciate every little nook and cranny of the house. And so it just feels good all around.
So the goal of staging is to make a home more appealing to the highest number of potential buyers. Therefore, you can sell the property for the least amount of time on the market and for more money. That's the goal, right? We focus on improving the property's appeal by transforming it into a welcoming place. The good thing to remember is that just like the internet, when people are passing through photos and people make quick impressions, most buyers form an opinion about a home within the first 7 to 10 seconds of looking at it. So if you don't have a house staged, we talk about, like, even in a room, if there are little things all over, like, people don't realize if you have toys on the floor or shoes in a hallway, people are focusing on all the little items and they're not getting the big picture. So that's why we talk a lot about decluttering during staging as well. And they said in a controlled setting, identical homes, stage versus non-stage. Staged homes sell in less than half the time than non-staged homes. And when you look at a home that's been staged, because we're doing all the updates, everything feels like it's been well maintained for the length of time somebody's lived there. They're not really thinking what was done right before we got here. So it feels well maintained. The Real Estate Staging Association report found that home staged prior to listing sold 87% faster. That's money in your pocket. You know what that. Okay, now we're going to do some before and afters of this particular home. So as you can see on the left, this is the before picture. And then on the right, you can see this is the after picture. So this is the front. As I mentioned, there are a lot of different seating areas in this home. They all have sort of the same use. So This we sort of made into a media spot where if you had kids and your kids are you're all family hanging out in your kitchen and you want your kids to hang out and they're gonna watch TV in the same room as you, or they're gonna play video games, or they just wanna spend time with you, now we have that new area by the kitchen for the entire family. This is another room. This is actually, if you can take a look, this is the kitchen. So if you can see the first set of pictures here on the left, the shelves are extremely cluttered. The table feels very dark with the tablecloth over it. The chairs are heavy, and when we unclutter the bookcases and actually painted them, you can see that the flow of items actually makes a big change visually and helps to make the room feel larger and more open.
And the glass table.
And the glass table, yes. This is the room actually that we're sitting in over here. So this you can see is a huge transformation. This is the one that had the dark wallpaper on it for many, many, many years. The furniture was very dark. Everything felt very, very heavy in the room. It didn't have a very warm and welcoming feeling. Here we opened up the seating area, so it feels like a very large, spacious room. And we gave it a number of seats, so there's about 6 seats in here with the sectional as it is, but yet it's all very concise and we don't have to move all over the room to accommodate a large group. So it made it feel very light and open. We did paint it yellow, but it still had that nice warm feeling from all the sunlight and all the different windows in the room, which you really couldn't tell in this first picture. So I think that makes a big difference. This room is the front room, the living room here, or the back room, is depending on which house side of the house you're facing. But it was painted red, which is a real, color of the early 90s, but also a historic color. But we wanted to make it feel very happy and again, family friendly. So we repainted both the walls and part of the fireplace, and we created a more livable seating area with 2 sets of couches and big comfortable chairs, and some also glass elements that help to lift up the space with the lighter rug as well. And if you look, you can see that the windows really bring in a lot of sunlight because everything is a lot lighter. Okay, so this is one of the bedrooms. This is actually one of our favorite rooms of transformation in the house. This was the primary bedroom, and the bed in there was a full bed for 2 people, and there was a dresser on the other side of the room, and that was how the room was used. When we changed it, we changed the orientation, so now we brought a bed into the long side of the room. Yes, it's in front of the windows, which in a new home you wouldn't do, but in an older home you don't have as many choices because of the layout. And by using a bed frame that was open, you don't block the window in any way. And we were able to go from a full bed to a king bed. There was actually no nightstands at all on this side where the full bed was, and we were able to put 2 very large nightstands on either side with 2 nice lamps, and then we were able to create another sitting area and dresser area on the other side of the room. So the room is so much more useful now, and it just you could not tell before with the way it was laid out. So layout is really important, not just furnishings, but also layout and usage. So I'm just gonna wrap up sort of all of the discussion we've had. People talk about the cost of staging. Yes, it is absolutely an investment, but it is definitely less than any kind of price reduction. So you have to think about that time on the market. After 2 weeks, often the price goes down. You don't want to go through that. So what you want to do is try to just get your house sold. So staging it, putting it in the best light will help you. The key to staging, it prevents stale listings. So first impression is key. When somebody walks in a house, you want to grab their attention right away, and then maybe they come for the second showing, and then you're selling the house. You're going to have multiple offers that way. Can I stage on my own? It's your home. It's your personal things in the home. So if you can imagine just not hiring a broker and selling something yourself, you won't do as well of a job because the person who's selling your house is going to show it in a light that is different than the way you would show it. It's too hard. And it's the same with the things in your house. You don't know what to get rid of, where to put them. You like that table you've had for 50 years. Why would we ever take it out? It's hard to make these decisions. So let the stager come. They know what the new trends are. They know what people are looking for. Let the stager do their job.